Most English exam videos I've been posting are about Cambridge certifications, which usually come together with the CEFR. But what exactly is the CEFR? In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Common European Framework of Reference. Let's go! Hello exam seekers, I'm Patty and today I'm talking about the CEFR. When we talk about English exams, the CEFR usually comes to our minds because this is the standard most assessment organizations use when examining their candidates. But what is the CEFR? In this video, I'm going to tell you what the CEFR means. I'm going to talk a little bit about its history. I'm going to explain the framework, and I'm going to talk about fairness and its part in the CEFR. What is the CEFR? It is an acronym that stands for Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, which is an international standard for describing the level of comprehension and expression in the oral and written language ability in English. But how did it come to be what it is today? The origins of the CEFR date back to the 1970s, when the Council of Europe, an international organization whose aim is to uphold human rights, democracy, and the rule of law in Europe, sponsored work with its Modern Language project to develop two levels: wastage and threshold, assets of specific learning objectives for language teaching purposes. According to Cambridge, wastage and threshold were relatively low proficiency levels designed to reflect achievable and meaningful levels of functional language competence. In 1977, David Wilkins, author of The Functional Approach, first proposed the concept of a set of Council of Europe levels, which could provide an explicit pathway for language teaching and learning with opportunities to accredit achievement outcomes along the way. Because of his proposition, soon the framework started being developed so that it could offer students and teachers useful curriculum and examination levels. The Cambridge English Proficiency, the CPE, in 1913, the Cambridge English First, the FCE, in 1939, and the Cambridge English Preliminary, PAT, in 1980. In the late 1980s, Cambridge Assessment English was one of the several stakeholder organizations to provide funding and professional support for revising threshold and wastage. Then, the other Cambridge exams came along. The Cambridge English Key, CAT, in the early 90s, and the Cambridge English Advanced, the CAE, in 1991. They provided well-established and recognized accreditation stepping stones along the language teaching and learning pathway. And with that, the Council of Europe's Common European Framework project is started. So, how the CEFR is designed? The framework had the objective of creating a common meta-language to talk about learning objectives and language levels. It took a while before they decided on the terminology because they had been using familiar labels such as advanced, intermediate, preliminary, and they couldn't decide on a standard. Alongside the Council, the ALTE, Association of Language Testers in Europe, were also trying to collocate their qualification. They aimed to develop a framework establishing common proficiency levels to promote the transactional recognition of language certification in Europe. The process had many parts involved, such as analyzing test content, creating quality guidelines for exam production, and developing empirically validated performances indicators, can-do statements in different European languages. Finally, The Cambridge Assessment English and the ALTE partners decided to conduct several studies to verify the alignment of the two frameworks, deciding on a third final framework, which now looks like this. As you can see, there is the Common European Framework of Reference on the left, and there is the Cambridge English Scale right beside it. You can see how they spread throughout the Cambridge English qualifications. According to Cambridge Assessment, a test can only be considered good if it is fair. So let's talk about fairness. According to Cambridge Dictionary, it is the quality of treating people equally or in a way that is right and or reasonable. That means that everybody who applies for these exams must be considered equal. Therefore, equal chances are given to all candidates. Equal exams apply to everyone, or similar exams but with the same level of difficulty, and etc. That is also why when you apply for these exams, you not only have the CEFR marking system, but you also have the Cambridge English Scale, which gives you a number according to your mark. This helps the assessor to set you at the right level. How is the concept of fairness applied in the CEFR? When you are being evaluated, the assessor has a scale to follow, so everybody is assessed the same way. Take a look. Basic user. A1, breakthrough or beginner. Can understand and use familiar everyday expressions and very basic phrases aimed at the satisfaction of needs of a concrete type. Can introduce themselves and others and can ask and answer questions about personal details such as where he or she lives, people they know, and things they have. And can interact in a simple way provided the other person talks slowly and clearly and is prepared to help. A2, wastage or elementary. Can understand sentences and frequently used expressions related to areas of most immediate relevancy. Example, very basic personal and familiar information, shopping, local geography, employment. Can also communicate in simple and routine tasks requiring a simple and direct exchange of information on familiar and routine matters. Can describe in simple terms aspects of their background, immediate environment, and matters in areas of immediate. Independent user. B1, threshold or intermediate. Can understand the main points or clear standard input on familiar matters regularly encountered in work, school, leisure, etc. Can deal with most situations likely to arise while traveling in an area where the language is spoken. Can produce simple connected text on topics that are familiar or of personal interest. And can decide experiences and events, dreams, hopes and ambitions, and briefly give reasons and explanations for opinions and plans. B2, vantage or upper intermediate. Can understand the main ideas of complex texts on both concrete and abstract topics, including technical discussions in their field of specialization. Can interact with a degree of fluency and spontaneity that makes regular interactions with native speakers quite possible without straying for either party. And can produce clear, detailed text on a wide range of subjects and explain a viewpoint on a topic issue, giving the advantages and disadvantages of various options. Proficient user. C1, effective operational proficiency or advanced. Can understand a wide range of demanding longer clauses and recognize implicit meaning. Can express ideas fluently and spontaneously without much obvious searching for expressions. can use language flexibly and effectively for social, academic, and professional purposes, and can produce clear, well-structured, detailed text on complex subjects showing controlled use of organizational patterns, connectors, and cohesive devices. C2, mastery or proficiency, can understand with ease virtually everything heard or read, can summarize information from different spoken and written sources, reconstructing arguments and accounts in a coherent presentation, and can express themselves spontaneously, very fluently and precisely, differentiating finer shades of meaning even in the most complex situations. Well, this was an explanation about the CEFR. I hope I have cleared some questions related to the CEFR. But if you have any other questions, please leave a comment in the comment section below. Also, check the text I posted on my blog with some more information about the CEFR, link in the description. Well, I hope that this content was useful for you, and if you want more content like this one, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Also, don't forget to share and like this video so that this content can access more people. Alright? Well, that's it for today. Thanks for watching me and see you next time. Remember that knowledge is never enough. Bye bye. The CEFR usually comes because they have been using why? Can you hear that?